Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Want some privacy here? If anybody comes, they come.
What do you do if you're Kellyanne Conway and you've been brought on to try and rehabilitate Donald Trump's image with women? What do you do if you're Mike Pence and you're his VP? What do you do if you're anybody other than Rudy Giuliani? You try and avoid the media. But Rudy Giuliani, he doesn't give a single crap about it because he knows he's going to get work from Donald Trump going forward. He's probably got an apartment.
Got a movie like Giuliani.
Right? I mean, it's something.
Probably more.
Yeah. He's probably, for all we know, Rudy Giuliani is cheating on his now wife in a new apartment from Donald Trump. I'm just speculating. I have no idea. I have no reason to believe that other than past performance is sometimes an indicator
everything
of the
he has done in his life.
But here is Rudy Giuliani on Meet the Press. Trying to make the point that Hillary has shown who she is behind closed doors, which is apparently a centrist Democrat who feels more comfortable with wealthy people, kisses up to banks.
Surprised you didn't put on the breaking news music for this.
And etc. But here is a Rudy Giuliani, and he has
Giuliani.
God has actually tied him in knots.
One thing he's not is what came across in WikiLeaks, and that is two people.
Okay. WikiLeaks. That's the way he talks.
Described that she's two different people. To the financial people who were giving her millions of dollars, she's on their side, and she wants them to be a big part of the government. But she tells them she has to pretend to everybody else that she isn't.
Well, then what does that say? If you believe that Hillary Clinton says one thing in private, and that means what she really is what she is in private, should we assume what Donald Trump did in that Access Hollywood bus is really what Donald Trump is like in private? I mean, that's what you're implying here with Hillary Clinton.
You know, Chuck, the reality is that in both cases, both people have things in their personal lives that maybe if they could redo it, they would do it differently. And the reality is that this is a situation in which neither side should throw stones because both sides have sinned.
Oh, yeah. Right. Right. I don't even know what to say. I mean, at that point, Chuck Todd says, hey, speaking of sinned.
That was last week. Yeah, that was last week. We did that one.
Oh, my God.
I was like, you really want to talk about this with all of your affairs? That was like, everyone's had affairs.
Hey, it's Sam Cedar. Why don't you?
Hey, Sam Cedar. Wow, who cares?
Channel? You can do so right over here.
Oh, I don't know what the subscribe button is. I've never seen that before, Sam.
That brings us to Chuck Todd, Nicole Wallace, and Steve Kornacki. Good morning to all of you guys.
Good morning.
Well, I mean, where do we even start? I guess, Chuck, did this change anything about the race?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't even want to look at it in conventional terms. I mean, I feel like in the light of day, you know, you want to see what hath we wrought? Like, what did we see here? I mean, this is not, again, it wasn't a conventional moment of presidential debate politics. I think we will look on, this debate is only going to be remembered for two things. The Trump campaign's decision to bring Bill Clinton's accusers in and create this diversion on the video, on the lewd video, and him saying during the debate that he wants to put his opponent in jail. That's all it's going to be remembered about in 2 days. That will be the takeaway. What part of that is helpful to the Trump campaign? I have no idea. I don't think it is. The vice grip that the rest of the Republican Party is in this morning is even tighter than it was before that debate
Vice
started.
grip. You're in a
That's
vice
problem, 'cause the
grip?
Trump base
That's his
is
description?
elated
They
this
loved
morning.
it.
Well, I want to
Fucking
ask you,
cuck.
follow me,
This
if
guy's a
you are
cuck.
one of those Republicans who hasn't decided yet on this issue of the Access Hollywood tape, you see this performance in which he kind of hung in there. Does it change anything?
Well, listen, even inside Trump Tower over the weekend, there was a divide over how much contrition to show. There were people who argued for Donald Trump to do an interview on Saturday, a big interview, so that he could appear more remorseful. The people that wanted to see that out of him, and even Jeff Sessions, one of his top surrogates,
Even
was
Jeff
talking
Sessions,
about contrition before the
who
debate.
cares,
This is my
man?
friend, the debate. I
Oh
don't
my
think
God,
they saw
these
that,
people.
but what they saw was maybe what they were attracted to at the very beginning of the GOP primary. They saw his scrappiness. They saw him prosecute a case against Clinton's in the 90s. So I'm not sure that affects the outcome of the 2016 presidential, but they saw Trump for who he is, for someone who never backs down, and for the 35 to 42% of the country that likes that, they're still behind him. But the mission 30 days out from an election is to win over the people who are not yet for you. And I don't think he won over one single person who was not yet for him.
Steve, let me ask you, I mean, over the weekend, we did see this laundry list of Republicans come out and either say they condemned the remarks and some of them actually rescinded endorsements. Do you think Trump's performance stopped the bleeding in terms of Republicans jumping ship?
I suspect it mostly did, and that sort of gets to what Nicole was just saying. The story of this campaign really has been a story of two different audiences. Take, first of all, the audience that got the Republican nomination for Donald Trump in the first place, the Republican base. And I think there's evidence they were pleased by what they heard last night. And a lot of them have been waiting, let's be honest, 2 decades for somebody to go toe-to-toe with the Clinton and bring up some of the things that he brought up last night. That exerts pressure on the average Republican office holder to take that attitude into mind before they throw Trump out going forward. But again, the problem for Donald Trump and the reason he has been consistently behind since he won the Republican nomination, it's in the suburbs, and it's more particularly among suburban women. And if you were watching that debate last night with an eye towards a suburban female voter who has had reservations about Donald Trump from the moment he became the Republican nominee, did you hear anything in how he addressed that tape? Did you hear any contrition? Did you hear any evidence that he's a different person than they've judged him to be? I don't think they heard that last night. Did you see anything in the performance last night that would win them over? I think that's the problem. He can get back that Republican base. He can be in striking distance, but the game is not to be in striking distance. It's to get ahead. I don't know how he did that last night.
There's a lot more to talk about, including the body language and some of those other things that we're going to chat a bit in the next half hour with you guys with more on the crisis facing the Republican Party.
Guys, thank you so much. We want to note one other thing. Pending further review of the matter, NBC News has suspended Billy Bush, the host of today's Third Hour, for his role in that conversation with Donald Trump.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there. And click
Subscribe, please.
of the videos
Please
over here to watch the latest interviews, show
Oh, hell
highlights,
no.
and digital exclusives.
Kiss my ass.
Watch the latest interviews, show
Oh, hell
highlights,
no.
and digital exclusives.
Kiss my ass.
Watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.
Kiss my ass. Let's watch the Young Jerks.
Something new has arrived. uniquely designed for the driven. Introducing the first ever Infiniti QX30 crossover. Infiniti, empower the drive.
NBC has formally suspended Billy Bush on the Today Show after his comments and his participation in the Trump video. So today, executive producer Noah Oppenheim has said there is simply no excuse for Billy's language and behavior on that tape. He hosts the third hour of the Today Show, and he has been suspended pending further review on the matter. Now, just to fill in everyone, let's roll the tape of Billy's participation in the infamous Trump tape.
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the bus.
Like a little okay, hug, absolutely. Melania said this was okay.
I just got off the bus. Bushy. There we go. Excellent. Well, you've got a nice co-star here.
So that's the part that's not talked about enough. Everybody talks about the horrific things that Trump said on the bus. But on the day that we covered it, when it broke on Friday, I said the thing that actually disturbed me the most is when they got off the bus, because then they made all that talk real. Before you could have said, hey, they're joking, they're not really going to grab people and stuff. But they get off the bus, and immediately Billy Bush is like, go hug him, right? Because they're just talking about how they grab women. And then he's like, oh, come hug me. And I was like, oh, you creepy perv. And then that also made me think, like, that's why some women are about hugging guys and stuff.
Gang for president.
Guys like that out there who's thinking like, oh yeah, she's so effing hot and I'm gonna go, and they're like, and then takes an innocent hug and makes it pervy and creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I thought Bush came out
Let me get your reaction, because Billy Bush has issued an apology, and I want to read it out for you and see what you guys think about it. So basically said that I was embarrassed, that he's very sorry, but he also cites that he was it's no excuse, but this happened 11 years ago. I was younger, less mature, and acted foolishly in playing along. I'm very sorry. Just to note, Billy Bush was 33 years old at the time of this video. So that's basically your age, Brett. And I find it very difficult to imagine that you would have encouraged behavior like this. So I don't buy this apology, I have to be honest. Saying that he was less mature, to me, it's such a cop-out. But I wonder, did this hold up for you guys?
So it's a mixed bag. Look, a lot of guys have done a lot of stupid things when they're younger. I'm among them. So part of
doing stupid things now.
How long are we going to hold it over the guy's head? On the other hand, well, we haven't really hung it over his head much at all. It just started, right?
Right.
And so I think the more important point here is it who he is, or was he just being a dumbass on that particular day, which happens to a lot of people, right? But another part that really bothered me, which goes to who he is they're on the bus, and Trump is saying all these outrageous things, and Billy Bush is egging him on. And at one point, Trump says something about one of the women they see on the road, I think, and Billy Bush says,
yes, the Donald has scored.
Like, yes, the Donald has scored, and gives him a high five. But the Donald didn't score. He just leered at a woman as they were going on the bus together. And like that kind of solicitous attitude is like, oh, it's like revolting to me. Like, oh, you're a celebrity. I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
The Donald is scored by looking at a chick. Yeah.
That's a scary good impression of Billy Bush.
The best comparison I've seen, my friend Lindsay Weber retweeted one of her friends' things. That was LeFou. I don't know if you remember Beauty and the Beast, but Gaston's friend LeFou. The one who's like, you're so great at spitting, Gaston. Like, you're the best. Everything you do is perfect. That's what it is. And I said on the show the other day, like, there was that time when Britney Spears kissed Madonna, and everyone talked about it. So that's like Bush. Or not Bush. That's Donald is like the Britney Spears, taking the brunt of it. And Billy has really wanted to be Christina Aguilera, because Christina was also there. People just don't remember it. He wants it to go away. But I think this has to do with behind the scenes at the Today Show. Billy Bush shows up, and people don't like him on that stage. And he seems like he's the kind of person who's being very opportunistic in the face of a shrinking Today Show crowd, and seeming like they were kind of angling toward Willie Geist, kind of inside TV there. And he was the one from Access Hollywood Live who's like, let me on that show, and doing everything possible to get in there. And his on-camera personality is that stinker who has no filter and will say and do the crazy thing. And the question on everybody's mind when they watch it, I mean, I talked to my mom and I talked to other people who watch the Today Show, they're trying to figure out what he's like, because maybe he's just off-putting and genuinely like a really creepy person. And when you see this video come out, those people who were the undecideds, seeing Billy just show up for the first time on the Today Show, they look at it and go, I could do without him. And there's sources inside the Today Show that are saying he's never going to be on that show again.
Look, the guy drives me crazy, but again, I have mixed feelings. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Look, Billy Bush is exactly the kind of guy I can't stand. Like an insider bro. Remember, he's Bush's nephew, right? George W. Bush's nephew. And why does he have these incredibly high-paying jobs? He's got a big. Remember, Chelsea Clinton had a really high-paying job with NBC too. I think the story, like she did like 4 minutes in 1 year and got paid $500,000.
Jenna Bush was a correspondent.
That's right. And so this is like, it's gross to me. Like, these are the royalty of our, but we're not supposed to have royalty in America. Oh, you've got a big last name, Bush. All right. And then he's this guy. High five, Donald. Donald scores. I'm Billy Bush. Yeah. I can't stand that guy, right? So anything bad that
Calm down, gang.
In his career, yada, yada.
Yeah.
The world could use less of Billy Bushes. Now, why mix? Because I feel like at the same time, he's a little bit of a scapegoat. The whole industry is, hey, Donald scores. That's all access Hollywood. It's in the name. They sell out for access. They brag about it. They put it in the title of the show. So don't pretend like it's just a Billy Bush problem. That's how all of this is built. Not just entertainment, but all of media. You're dying for access. So you go and, and you're solicitous and obsequious to so-called stars like Donald Trump, and you encourage their worst behavior, and that's how you get access to them. So the entire industry is a little at fault here. It's not just Billy Bush.
And I think with these kinds of things, you have to suspend them immediately, especially on the Today Show, which had so much drama in the fallout with Ann Curry trying to get her out of there, and it'll die down. It'll go away, and he'll have another opportunity, the same way you see Brian Williams show back up on MSNBC literally at midnight. And then they'll work their way back into the mainstream, because I think the American public, as a viewing public, gets angry when this kind of stuff happens, but they're also very forgiving. And there's so much that we're inundated with that we forget the initial sting very quickly.
I agree with you, Brett, but I just hope that while, of course, being forgiving is, commendable, of course, I just hope that we still call into question, like what you were saying, Cenk, we've created this media. Billy Bush is a product of what we have, said that we like. We like all access. We like that. So he's been, rewarded for blowing smoke up people's asses for so long, and finally he just picked the biggest ass of all to blow smoke up, and now we're all shocked. But he is a product of exactly what we have said we want from the media, or what the media is feeding us in this sort of symbiotic relationship. And I hope that while it's okay to be forgiving, I don't think that Billy Bush is a terrible guy. I think that we still need to call into question what sort of behavior we are encouraging in interview segments and in the sort of correspondence that we reward by putting on such prominent shows like The Today Show and Good Morning America.
But I think there's a false implication in what you said that you have to.
Power plants account for more than a third of energy-related carbon emissions. The challenge is to capture the emissions before they're released into the atmosphere. That's what we're working.
Thousands of police are expected to be deployed in Luton this weekend at considerable public expense, as the so-called English Defence League stage what they're calling a homecoming demonstration in the town. The group's about 2 years old, and the police aren't quite sure how to classify it. They're vehemently anti-Islam, yet also have non-white and gay members. So in a moment, I'll talk to their self-styled leader, Stephen Lennon, the man who goes by the pseudonym Tommy Robertson. Katrine Nye a reporter for Newsnight and the BBC Asian network, has spent the last 6 months getting to know members of the EDL. Nye, a reporter for Newsnight and the BBC Asian network.
Imagine how easily the world could be different. What if the Nazis won the war and split control of the United States with Japan? That's the world of Amazon's The Man in the High Castle. Sometimes the small...
Thousands of police are expected to be deployed in Luton this weekend at considerable public...
When this first started, I didn't know what left wing or right wing was. I'd never turned a computer on. Do you know what I mean? I just knew that things were seriously wrong. When you take a 7th century book in its barbaric form, which they do, we have a problem. Because this isn't the 7th century. It's year 2011, Britain.
The question for senior figures in the EDL is how they separate their rhetoric from out-and-out Muslim bashing at demos.
For this so-called homecoming demonstration, Bedfordshire Police will be forced to mount their largest ever policing operation. They say they'll have 1,500 officers on the ground, that they're expecting up to 12,000 protesters. All this to the dismay